Welcome to Songs of Inspiration, a monthly podcast that brings you interviews and performances by local singer-songwriters with the goal to give space to the music community and share local artists' messages and stories with the world. I'm your host, Lars Wickman. Hey everyone, we are back with another great episode for you. Joining us today, we have the indie folk duo Rivers Between. Rivers Between is comprised of singer-songwriter Greg Kane and vocalist Kat Brooks. Greg's soulful compositions, engaging folk guitar style, and unique voice coupled with Kat's beautifully inventive harmonies make them a local fan favorite. Like a confluence of two rivers coming together, Greg and Kat came together as solo artists who found that the combination of their talents was greater than the sum of their individual parts. When listening to their music, I was really inspired by the positive messages behind their songs, as well as the thought-provoking and heartfelt lyrics and the beautiful harmonies that Kat brings to the table. I'm really excited and humbled to have them on the show today, so without further ado, let's dive into the interview. Hey everyone, we're in the studio today with Greg Kane and Kat Brooks from Rivers Between. Thank you both for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
I gave a short intro that gave a little overview about you both, but to start off, could you tell us a little bit about each of your musical backgrounds and how you came together as Rivers Between?
We were both doing our own separate thing prior to meeting up with each other. I have a background from a long time ago in musical theater, and so I did some of that and went through school for musical theater and then realized that I didn't want to be in musicals anymore. I eventually wanted to be in a band, I figured out. So, and then the next couple of decades I spent raising a family and not really doing a whole lot of music other than just singing on my own. Some singing in, church environments and things like that. And then connected with someone who wanted me to be a part of his band, and that just started me down the band path, I guess. So I've been in a few different bands. I'm still currently, in a couple of musical arrangements where I play out occasionally, but that's my background. And if you want to talk about yours, and then...
Yeah, my background was 16 years old and was in a band with neighborhood kids, and we were together for 3 or 4 years, and then we broke up. Everybody did their own thing. I sort of stumbled along for years in music, was doing it, when then wasn't, then was, then wasn't it. And then, and I had a little trouble with pitch, and then when I picked up the music again and went into the recording studio by myself. I did that a few times, and I found that I could hear the mistakes and I could then fix it. So I don't have any schooling per se in music, but over the years I've sort of self-trained myself, I guess, by listening back and, okay, that's flat, okay, that's sharp, let's fix that. And got to this point, well, a few years ago, I kind of feel like I arrived, if there is such a thing, in music, and right around that time, that's when I met Kat. And to your second question, we met in 2019. 2018. Yeah. I was going into the recording studio to do another album, and I needed a second voice. And I heard Kat sing at an open mic, and a bell went off in my head, and I realized, boy, she's got a great voice, and maybe something went off in my head that said that we would blend well. And so I asked her to sing on the album a couple songs. We rehearsed, and then she was able to, she's such a gift with harmonies, she was able to just pull out these harmonies on all 7 of the songs that I was recording. And then when we got to the studio, it felt so good. We're like, let's just keep going with this. Let's keep going. And in the studio, it took us a while. It took us about a month, but we came up with our name, Rivers Between, and all that. And so that's a little overview there.
Very cool. Awesome. Yeah, that's really cool that recording yourself is so helpful too when you're starting out and stuff. I've done that too, kind of just learned from just recording myself over and over and stuff. And yeah, that's really great. And it's really cool that you both kind of found that musical chemistry and stuff when you came together. Very cool. What are some artists that influenced you along the way?
Well, for me, was the Beatles.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, that same group of friends way back, 20 years later, because this was in the 80s now, we started listening to the Beatles and Bob Dylan and a lot of singer-songwriters, Jim Croce, Harry Chapin, that kind of thing. And even like the Police, some of the music that was coming out at the time of the early 80s for me. I don't know, Kat, what were your influences?
I mean, I've always loved the Beatles too. I was always drawn to harmonies, though. So Simon and Garfunkel, some of the, I had a lot of influence from my grandparents' era as well as my parents' era of who to listen to. And I listened to a lot of Cat Stevens, loved his music, loved his messages. It's always been about the words and the harmonies for me, I think. Sort of trained myself as a kid listening to Barbra Streisand, almost mimicking her voice before I sort of found my own. And then a little bit later in life, it was really more like singer-songwriters, John Hyatt, Lyle Lovett, Indigo Girls. But for me, my voice has always been lower. And so growing up, I didn't have a whole lot of there weren't a whole lot of female performers who were in that sort of low alto range. And so I listened to primarily male artists because I could sing along with them, and not playing an instrument. I sort of needed that, that structure of someone else playing, and then I could sing along. So yeah, most of, I've had a lot of people say, well, what were your, who were your favorite female artists growing up? And I get embarrassed because I didn't have a ton, but it had more to do with sort of my vocal range and what I could sort of, accomplish on my own without being able to alter the key, you know. So
that's cool that you found kind of what worked for your voice there and stuff. And the Beatles are awesome. I love the harmonies on all of their stuff, and huge Beatles fan as well. It's a band that's influenced me as well. Very cool. Did you have any mentors as you started out with music?
I know you have. I maybe just the guys in the band. We had one goal, and it's kind of funny because by the time we actually got good, we broke up. But we all encouraged each other. That's for me. I really didn't.
Yeah, when I was in high school, I went to high school in Watertown, and back then they had a program called Metro Pathways, and that was an organization that sort of almost did reverse busing, if that makes sense. They would bring suburban kids into the city, and there were classes that you could take or programs you could be a part of that you were literally excused one day a week out of your regular high school classes. You had to, maintain a certain GPA or whatever, but they would bring us into Boston, and I was part of the music program, and the director of the music program, a man named David Fuller, was a real major mentor for me because he taught, the best thing I think he taught me was to allow applause, if that makes sense. There was a song that I did, and I was so nervous on stage at 16 years old, and I actually got a standing ovation from a tough crowd. And I was so embarrassed, I sort of, nodded and walked off stage, and he sort of took me by the hand and walked me back onto the stage and just sort of let go of my hand. And the idea was, no, just listen to it. Feel that applause. This is for you. And it was a turning point for me, to sort of own that, so that he was a great mentor.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's a great lesson too.
Yeah, it was, to sort of accept accolades for your hard work, honestly.
Definitely. That's awesome.
Yeah. He was great.
I noticed the songs you guys write have really positive messages. Where do you draw inspiration from, and do you have any creative routines that you use to keep creativity flowing?
Well, as far as writing the songs, for me, it's mainly through experience. I think just having gone through a lot in life, and then able to draw on those experiences when it comes time to write.
Well, Greg writes. He's written all the music that we've done. All the originals that we do are Greg's creations, and I'm actually always really excited when he presents a new song to me, because it becomes then a project for me to figure out what harmonies would work. And on that first album, A Light on Here, the one where he asked me, hey, could you sing back up on 3 songs? How about 7 songs? How about we're a duo? That process, I know it was kind of like a running joke in my family that they were like, well, we want to hear you more. And I said, listen, every note that I sang on that album was designed by me, essentially. Like, I put harmonies where I felt they belonged, and I didn't feel the need to just sing note for note everything that he did, because I was the last piece of the puzzle coming into that recording studio to lay the vocals on top. So I feel like my creative input is more just in the harmony, and sometimes I'll be like, well, I hear a sort of a call, like a call and answer, kind of a thing here. And what if we try this? And he's just been really open to suggestions on, how to structure the songs sometimes. And then also there have been songs that he's actually recorded in the past as a solo artist that we now do as a duo with me leading. And that was, again, sort of a collaborative decision to say, well, let's try to rework this song. And I think that's,
And as far as inspiration, too, I think when we perform, there's an inspiration from the people that are listening. Yeah. Sometimes we play at assisted living places, and we get an amazing response. They're listening, and then they come over to us. We do a little mix of cover songs and original songs, and a lot of times they'll come up and say, you guys sounded great, but we really liked the songs that you wrote. And that's an inspiration to me.
That's awesome.
And other times just listening to other musicians, other bands that we know locally. I've actually gone home after being at like a mini concert or whatever, and been inspired to write.
Yeah. And
something about that encouragement. And I mean, the writing process is a long process, but it starts with the inspiration. You have to have the inspiration.
Yeah, absolutely.
I noticed that when we started working together, he had gone from, I think you were writing maybe a couple songs a year, ish. And then when we started working together, that creative spark, that chemistry that you talk about, I feel like all of a sudden he was just writing, profusely. And
very cool.
That's where a lot of the second album, Other Likely Stories, came about, was from just this sort of rush of creativity that came, which was amazing. It was a great process to watch him do that. And I'm starting to write lyrics. I just haven't quite, like I'll hear a phrase or I'll think of something, and if I don't write it down immediately, I'll forget. So I have tons of what I call song snippets, in notebooks and on my phone, and just sort of piecing those things together to try to, move forward with contributing more even. So
very cool. That's such a cool collaboration, and it's cool that you can flip back and forth too on the leads and harmonies and stuff.
Yeah, it's helpful.
Yeah. And I really relate to what you were saying about knowing when to add harmonies in the right places and stuff too, because like when I record a song too, it's like trying to make sure you have the different pieces fit in the right places,
right,
and you're not just doing the same thing through the whole song and stuff is so important.
So much about dynamics and things too, where we discuss a lot of that. Well, this should be hushed, and then we should build to this, and we're very in sync with each other, I think, when it comes to that creative process.
Nice, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What was the greatest challenge you faced pursuing music?
It's a tough one. I feel like we were talking about this earlier, and life, honestly. I mean, just like I said, I sort of had this, this huge chunk of my life that I, made a decision to have a family and, and to raise kids. And then I got divorced and so it wasn't really until I got divorced that I started to sort of branch out and say, what is there here for me? Because now I have these teenagers and, and everything has sort of been about them. And so what piece can I carve out for myself? And it was finding that first band, honestly, and singing with them that gave me confidence, and then sort of moving into like the open mic circuit and then meeting a lot of other musicians. And that, once I started to commune with other creative people, it made me hungry for more, And so for me, I think for just a long time, it was just sort of life circumstances and choices that I blocked myself, I guess, and I think now I'm just in a place where, the more we do this, the more confidence we have, the more we believe in ourselves and in this process of sort of moving forward with pursuing what we've probably wanted to do for a really long time.
Yeah, I mean, for me, just finding time to do it was a challenge because I was working so much. Strangely enough, I injured my back, and had to stop working, and so this was a few years ago. Then I picked up the guitar, started playing, and through that, if I hadn't gotten injured, I probably wouldn't have met Kat. We wouldn't have made 2 albums. We wouldn't be playing out. So it's very strange how things happen. But one of the greatest challenges was just finding the time and believing in myself enough that it could be done.
Yeah.
And I think just, poor self-esteem over the years and then having those few people that say, hey, that's really good, you should keep going with that. And then, but it was also just doing it by myself, just doing the music by myself. There's a lot to be scared of and afraid of, but when you have a music partner, you encourage each other and you go forward. You have a goal that's the same, and when one person is down, the other person is up, and vice versa. So yeah, I think it's very important that we're a duo and doing this.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. It really does. It's just that camaraderie, someone to rely on and someone to just help out. And then when you have a bad day, when we have a quote unquote bad gig, we can just take a second and just say, okay, this is for us. Clearly no one's listening. So we'll just do this. This is welcome to our rehearsal sort of thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes we see things in a different way, but that, we're both open. So that is, we use that as sort of the other person as a sounding board. And okay, am I off on this, or are you off on this? And so we use that and we get back on track,
Yeah, that's helpful. That's been helpful in sort of creating the business of the music too, because that's the hardest part, the promoting and the booking and, just all of the social media stuff that, and because the music industry is changing, I feel like so rapidly in going in directions that, we're still pretty old school. And so, usually the balance is one of us, and it's usually me, one of us is trying to like jet forward and the other one sort of reels back. And so we always come to like a balance point, and in 4.5 years, we haven't ever had like a major, disagreement or split difference of how we see something. We eventually come to the same place and I go, okay, you're right, we should probably slow down, or, so it is a great sort of balancing act, I think, with two of us. And we've had solo artist friends tell us that, although they love doing what they do, they're sort of jealous of that dynamic of having someone to sort of reel them in or pump them up or, just to progress with. So that's so cool. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, that's great that you guys have that openness and the feedback and the balance in the decision making and stuff. Really cool. Awesome. Are there any songs in particular that you would say hold the most meaning for you that you've written together? And can you talk a little bit about the story behind it?
Well, one of the songs, a newer song that we're going to play, it's called Listen to Me. And it's sort of, for me anyway, it sort of takes me back to my youth. And sort of, I was a troubled youth in some ways, and depression, things like that. And the song basically says, I'm going through all this, and you're just talking. Can you stop talking? Can you listen? Can you listen to what I'm saying? And that's what the Listen to Me comes from. And it's not, the song wasn't written about my parents per se. They were great parents. But it's more of a wake up to people that you have to listen to your kids, listen to your friends, be that person that you don't always have to be speaking. You don't always have to have an answer. You just you can be there, and sometimes that gets you through.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean that same song actually. It was interesting for me too, because oftentimes he's written a song and it means a certain thing to him, and then it means something completely different to me, or just adjacent. Because I remember we were talking about that song one time, and I said it doesn't have to be parent-child. I mean, like having been in a relationship with a narcissist, it's like you want to just be listened to be heard. And so I relate to it on a very different level, but also I think one of the best things that my own father ever said to me was, I don't know.
Yeah.
He said, because he knew everything. He was really smart, and he read everything and knew everything. And when I lost a friend years ago, he had no experience of having lost someone close to him, and I thought he was going to do the whole, well, when that happened, and he didn't. He just said, I have no idea what you're going through. And that was probably the best thing he could ever have said, because he really did listen to what I was saying and to, try to see my perspective. So I think it encompasses that really well.
Definitely.
One of the other songs we're doing is another song that Greg wrote.
Don't Give Up on Me.
Don't Give Up on Me. And that one just hits on so many levels for me. I
really like that song. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a beautiful song. I mean, and the fact that I get to sing lead on it is just, honestly, it's kind of an honor. It really touches people. We see it even in the busy bar and restaurant scene. We can see that it hits people sometimes. That's and they'll great. Come up and say something about it. Like, oh, we love those covers. They're familiar, but boy, your songwriting is amazing. And it is, that song is really about just hang in there with me. I just don't give up on me. There are things I should have taken care of and I didn't, but just please stick in there with me,
That's cool. The message behind it's really human, and that we're all kind of working through stuff. And
well, that's the thing. I think Greg writes directly from his own experience, but I've heard from so many people and seen this in so many instances where it's so relatable. It's not about one particular person or community or whatever. It's just a human, like you said, it's just a human experience. And so we have people from all different walks of life, all different ages, relating to songs that we might not have thought would get to them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I think listening to your music when I was reaching out and stuff, I think that was one of the things that really stood out, was just how relatable it was to just anyone and stuff, like to just life in general, going through different things and stuff. So it was really, really stood out to me and stuff. So
that's awesome.
Really cool.
Nice. Thank you.
Awesome. Cool. You guys played at Gillette Stadium recently as part of Yoga Reaches Out. Can you tell us a bit about that event? Yeah,
we so we have a friend within our local music community who we just know through the open mic circuit. We're good friends with him, and his wife, Shar Willingham, is a yoga instructor, and she reached out to me through Facebook and said, "Oh, there's this." She sort of downplayed it, like, "Oh, there's this little event," and they're looking for musicians, and it's a fundraiser. And I didn't get very many details from her, but then we started communicating with Sarah Gardner, the woman who organized it, and it is something she's done for, I think, 12 years now. It was her goal from the beginning was to do a day-long yoga-thon at Gillette Stadium.
Oh, wow.
And she owned her own little yoga studio. And, she said everyone in her life was like, okay, with your little studio, you're going to get into Gillette Stadium. And she just persevered, and she got in. And for the first few years, I guess they would put them in the field house next door to the stadium. And, but yeah, it had to do with, some medical issues that her son had, when he was young. And Boston Children's Hospital was absolutely instrumental in helping him heal and taking care of him, and they were so great. She wanted to do something to give back to Boston Children's. And so this fundraiser this year's has raised over $500,000, like $555,000 for Boston Children's Hospital.
Wow.
And so we were asked to just sort of open the day, set the tone, I guess. So as people were coming in, we got to be on stage and play for, it was about several thousand, I think a couple thousand people.
A couple thousand, I think. One of our good friends, Janu, joined us on stage playing percussion. And so it was great. It was a great experience. We love doing things that have a deep meaning like that. And at the same time, I think we grew as performers and musicians. And I was most surprised because when I got up there, maybe for about 5 seconds I was nervous, but then it just completely went away.
Yeah, we were surprised that we weren't as nervous as we should have been.
Yeah,
I mean, we actually did do it in the field house because it course,
pouring.
that absolute torrential downpours that day. So, but it was just an amazing experience. We got to meet a lot of people. We had a booth set up. We donated our time on stage, and then they said, well, we're going to give you a booth to sell merch or whatever. And we just got to meet a lot of people, and
that's great.
Yeah, it was a great experience.
Very cool.
Several different presenters throughout the day, and including our friend who did a sound bath healing session with crystal singing bowls. So it was great. It was a really, really fulfilling experience.
That's awesome. Yeah, it sounds like a really good match, kind of, for the music that you guys do too.
Yeah, we did all original songs.
That's awesome.
We did one cover. It was a George Harrison, "Give Me Love, Give Me Peace on Earth."
Yeah.
We ended with that. And then somebody actually came over to us after. We're like, "I'm so glad you did that song. That's my favorite song." So
Nice.
yeah, so that was nice.
Very cool. Awesome. Do you guys have any shows coming up in the coming weeks?
We do actually. We have 3 public shows this coming week.
A busy weekend next week.
Yeah, I mean Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Thursday we're in Acton at Atlantic Sea Grill, from 6 to 8.
6 to 8, yeah.
And then Chill Kitchen and Bar in Marlborough on Friday, and that's always 6 to 9. And then in Leominster, we're 7:29 Saturday. We're at Logan's Table in Leominster.
Oh, cool.
So
Awesome.
And we in there somewhere we have two gigs we're playing at assisted living places.
We
as
have
well.
regular gigs at assisted living places.
And those are usually an hour long.
That's awesome.
So yeah. So we'll be busy.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, summer's always a busy time for gigging and stuff. Very cool. What's one piece of advice you'd give to singer-songwriters who are just starting out?
I would say persevere. Don't give up. If you have a dream and if you have something in you that really wants to do this, really wants to do the music, just keep going, no matter what anybody says. When I first started, like I mentioned earlier, when I was a teenager, I think I had the nice tone, but I couldn't really sing on key. And I had a lot of people saying, "Oh, you got to do this, you got to do that," and I didn't know how to go about to get singing lessons and things like that. But I just persevered, no matter what anybody said. Just kept going. So that would be my advice.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would say I think I have 2. One came from my musical theater background. The musical theater teacher that we had at that school in New York was someone, when we first walked in on the first day, we had our sheet music. We were all excited, and there was no piano player. There was no accompaniment. And, and he let that settle in to the class, that there was no music. And he said, oh, no. We're not doing accompaniment until you can deliver your song to me as a monologue and make me believe that you know what you're talking about.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so for me, that was probably one of the best lessons, other than the, accepting, the accolades.
Mm-hmm.
It was also really, really knowing what you're singing about.
Yeah.
And I mean, we have a real focus on harmony and clarity. So I mean, we've had people say, I've heard that Elton John song 50,000 times, but I never heard the words until I heard you sing it, that kind of thing. So the fact that we can, I would say, to focus on really what you're saying in the music, and hopefully making it clear enough so people really hear the words, so that they understand that you know what you're talking about. And when you do that, there's such an emotional connection with your audience that I think a lot of people miss when they're just singing rote, the words and these are the notes and these are the words and ba ba ba, and they don't focus on that.
Yeah.
So do it with all your heart.
Yeah. And then the other thing I would say is just find your own voice. Don't try so hard to sound like somebody else. It seems like that's it's always been common. I can't even say like now it happens. It's always been like that.
Yeah.
Sound alikes. You just, you're like, wait, which singer is that now? Because they all kind of sound the same, but find a voice that is authentic to you, and it doesn't have to sound like everyone on the radio to be valuable.
Definitely.
So
experimenting and trying different things is so important. Yeah. Really great advice.
Yeah, find something unique that is unique to you. Thank you.
Yeah, and I love what you said about just knowing what you're singing too. That's so important, to just be able to relate to your audience in that way and stuff.
Yeah.
I think some of the best performances I've seen artists do that, and it really, you can connect to what they're saying in a really special way. So it's really cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. It was so fantastic to talk to you both, and thank you for sharing some awesome stories and wisdom with us today.
Thanks.
Let's jump into the performance.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Yes, so this first song is called The Riverside, and it is probably, for the original songs that I've written, it has kind of a spiritual side to it, and I write on different subjects, and this particular song I wanted to write about that area, maybe in each of us, that has a little bit of a spiritual side to it, and so this is The Riverside. You can see a river, it flows between those mountains. They say it will take us where we want to go, for it points in the direction home. It's a long, tiring journey, and you wonder if you make it out from under all the pain and sorrow you've ever known. And this hard road will take your spirit and it will try to break it, but you've come this far and there's just a little farther to go. And we'll be at the riverside before too long. Meet me where the road ends, it's there that the river begins. And we'll be at the riverside before too long. They say there is is a better place, and that the river will lead the way. It's been so many years of broken-hearted tears, life constantly putting us down. Sometimes I just can't see, sometimes I just don't believe that all of these things will ever turn around. But it will take some courage, all that we can gather now. But they say there is hope where the river is found, and we'll be at the riverside before too long. Meet me where the road ends, it's there that the river begins, and we'll be at the riverside before too long. They say there is a better place, and that the river will lead the way. All my cares and all my worries, they say they will drop from me. All my cares and all my worries, they say they will drop into the river that surrounds me. And we'll be at the riverside before too long. Meet me where the road ends, it's there that the river begins, and we'll be at the riverside before too long. They say there is a better place, and that the river will lead the way. So this next song is called Don't Give Up On Me. And Kat Brooks is going to take the lead vocal on this one. So I wrote this song probably about a year ago. And it just sort of fell out of the sky. As with many of my other songs, it sort of started as something else. I really liked the melody. And I had a few words. And it sort of morphed into what you're going to hear. And so this is Don't Give Up On Me.
Seems I've lost my way, I don't recognize this. And it seems I've lost my place, can you help me find it? You think I'd know by now, but my heart is still learning. And you'd think that I'd know how to stop it from hurting. Don't give up on me. I look around at it all, cracks in the foundation and these crumbling walls. A part of me waits for the house to fall, but a part of me wants to believe. I look around at this mess, things years ago that I should have addressed. You know I gave it all, and this is all that's left. But it's all that I need, as long as you don't give up on me. As long as you don't give up on me. I keep keep my eyes straight ahead. You know I'm still going, and I'll do my very best, though my pace is slowing. And I know that you believe, 'cause you're still waiting. And it's hard for you to see, with all the time that it's taking. Just don't give up on me. I look around at it all, cracks in the foundation and these crumbling walls. A part of me waits for the house to fall, but a part of me wants to believe. I look around at this mess, things years ago that I should have addressed. You know I gave it all, and this is all that's left, but it's all that I need, as long as you don't give up on me. As long as you don't give up on me. I look around at it all, cracks in the foundation and these crumbling walls. A part of me waits for the house to fall, but a part of me wants to believe. I look around at this mess, things years ago that I should have addressed. You know I gave it all, and this is all that's left, but it's all that I need, as long as you don't give up on me. As long as you don't give up on me. As long as you don't give up on me.
So that was Don't Give Up on Me. This next song is one of the latest songs that I've written, and it's called Listen to Me. And I wrote it from the standpoint of a younger person talking to an older person. That's how it relates to me. To others, it's something else. But it's basically saying, the younger person saying, you may be well-meaning, but please stop talking and just listen to what I have to say. It feels like now there's no way out. I'm tired of this whole ugly scene. The failures, the heartaches, the things that make me scream out loud. No one sees me, no one believes. It feels like now I'm sinking down. Don't turn your head to even look at me. I try to say the words, but they get drowned out. I could really use your help, but you're so far out of reach. And all I hear is you talking. Not what I need. I'm sitting here in the dark wondering, why aren't you listening to me? All I hear is you talking, is to ask for you to try to see. And our little talks, you know, they never end well, 'cause you're always speaking down to me. And all I hear is you talking. And that's not what I need. I'm sitting here in the dark wondering, why aren't you listening to me? All I hear is you talking. You only speak to hear yourself preach, so it seems. All I hear is you talking. And all I need is for you to listen to me. And all I need is for you to listen to me. And all I need is for you to listen to me. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I wanna
thanks,
thank
Lars.
thank you, Lars, for having us in. We are Rivers Between, and my name is Greg, and this is Kat. And you can find us on all platforms at Rivers Between.
And you can find those platforms linked through our website, riversbetween.com. If you'd like to find us, thank you so much for having us. This is great.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Songs of Inspiration. Until next time, keep supporting live music, stay safe, and be well. This podcast is produced by True to the Vision Music. For more information, check out larswickman.net.